Welcome back to my channel. Today is legendary time and we will talk about the Halloween event and I will talk you through how you can beat the nightmare. I'm not talking about easy, medium or hard level. I'm talking about nightmare level 3, 4, 5, 6. So we will be talking how you can beat those level as a solo player. I'm not talking about division, which is pretty easy. I'm talking you through about how you do it solo. So I will have packed in this guide my 3 solo games I played in a row, so there was no loss in between, uh, for Nightmare 4, 5, and 6. And I will get you all the information and tips how you can beat it yourself. So let's get it started. As you can see, I am running the destroyer. I will not talk you through the basics of how this mode works. I think you have figured this out by now. And as you know, my channel aims more for the professional players, or more, let's say, the high engaged. I think you already know how to level your captain and how all that stuff works. So we will be talking about how to maximize the use and what happens in this game. So as you can see, the basic game is pretty much the same every game, no matter what level you are in. So all the tips I'm giving you now also work for the easy, medium, and hard level, because the spawns are pretty similar. What is the difference to Nightmare, all the levels? The difference is the shipper are fast moving. The ships are moving faster, so they really rush you. And I think they added a few ships each Nightmare level, so you will be fighting I think 1 or 2 ships per wave more per level of Nightmare. That's my guess. That's not proven, but that's my guess. But at least the ships are harder to delete, and the most important thing is these ships, let's say, dodge the torpedoes. I wouldn't even call it dodge. They slam the brakes from 1 second to another, and then they do some unpredictable moves. So sometimes they stand still, sometimes they keep moving a little bit. So they really play with the aim assist. So once you're in the destroyer, the basic thing is I don't use the smoke. For me, the smoke is totally pointless. As you can see, we have a 4.8 kilometer concealment, and this is by far enough. You don't need a smoke. If you get into 4 kilometer of the enemy ships, you're probably dead any second. So I wouldn't advise this. So you have to use the cover, you have to use the distance. So hover around 5.2 kilometer. That's good enough. You don't need to get into close range combat. As tip number 2, you don't want to engage the destroyers. You don't want to fight them. You have a consumable, which is the second from the left, which avoids or which disables the enemy targeting. So any enemy cannot shoot at you. You see the shots going in all directions if you use that consumable. So whenever you have to engage somebody, make sure you have this second consumable. Because if you don't have it, you will be dying very fast because everybody will be focusing you, and you will be gone in the higher nightmare tiers. So try not to engage with guns at all. The setup here is only torpedo focus, so you can see I use the torpedo reload booster. And this comes in very handy because it's not limited. So you can fire another 2 sets every 70 seconds or so, which is very helpful because we're talking about, let's say, 10 more sets of torpedoes. And what you do with these torpedoes, you don't sink the ships basically, but you trigger a lot of floods. So from 100 torpedoes, I get about 70, 80 floods, and the floods are what brings you the damage. So talking about damage, I regularly do 700, 800k damage in a game. I score 130 torpedo hits, 120. So I'm talking hits, I'm not talking torpedoes fired. So you can see the hit counter of the torpedoes. And this is what you want to achieve that. You have new torpedoes every 13, 14 seconds. And you want to time the reload booster immediately. Once you fire the first salvo, you trigger the reload booster and you get the other two out in the water to make sense. Having said that, let's talk about the basic strategy here. So the basic target for the destroyer is other destroyers, then it's cruisers, and then it's battleships. For the battleships, you want to time it so you trigger the floods. For the cruisers, you want to time it that you really sink the cruisers. So you get multiple sets of two, usually 3 of them on one cruiser. And the thing is, as soon as the first torpedoes hit the cruiser or the battleship, they come to a full stop. And sometimes they keep going again, and most of the time they really slow down and stay in the position. So what I usually do is I fire the first 2 sets on the aim prediction. I fire the second 2 sets on the aim prediction, and the third 2 sets I put on the camping position. So when they come to a full stop, and that most of the time helps to kill them. Also on higher nightmare levels, 5, 6 and up, they tend to turn in and they even turn away, which doesn't happen at all in smaller, in lower tiers. But in 5 and 6, the battleships especially, they make a full turn and run away just to stay alive. So be aware of that. In lower tiers, they just push in. But they become a little bit harder and more tricky to hit. So here you can see me going around the island, keeping focus on this battleship while I keep an eye on the minimap. The minimap is your friend here, and you want to evaluate how you can help the team. Let's talk about basic strategy. In a destroyer, so let's say the ideal setup is either 2 battleships with a cruiser and 2 destroyers, or it can also be 2 battleships, 2 cruisers, 1 destroyer. I had less success with 3 battleships. So all the divisions I was with 3 battleships, they usually didn't make it far. So my recommendation is take 2 cruisers and 1 destroyer, or 1 cruiser and 2 destroyer, and maximum 2 battleships. You need the destroyers in higher T. If you have 2 of them, you position one on the middle of the map and on the right hand side, so south of the 2 islands, of the 2 big islands in the middle of the map, and you position the second, the left one, you position right to the big left fat island on the bottom of the map, on the left side of the map. You can see me moving there now. And both destroyers want to come broadside to the pushing ships and then constantly spam torpedoes. In the higher nightmare levels, the incoming ships are very fast, so you need to make sure that you, at a certain time, you turn around your ship and you leading the push. And while you're leading the push, you keep the distance of 5 to 5.2 kilometer, and you keep spamming them with torpedoes. Making sure that your flank more or less is wiped and that only single ships reach your 3 ships who defend, let's say, the Transylvania, so the 2 battleships and the cruiser. So the main goal of the destroyer or destroyers is to diminish the HP as much as possible until the ships arrive, the 3 main ships of your fleet. Again, I'm not a fan of the smoke because I think the smoke will take away too many torpedoes and it will slow you too much down, and especially in higher tiers, so 5 and 6, the incoming ships are so fast you cannot camp in a 30-second smoke, and also you don't have any spotting then most of the time. Smoke is really totally useless. It will work in the in the easy, medium, and hard level, but not in Nightmare. So go for the torpedoes all in and stay away at 5 kilometer. And once you need to engage, again, you have the 40-second consumable to disable enemy targeting. And this is much more useful than any smoke, because you can keep going. They cannot hit you, but you have full vision, and you can shoot at a destroyer and then use an island to drop line of sight. So that works best. But again, don't push engagement. You have to torp the enemy every 14 seconds, and you don't have time to fire your guns and align your guns, because you're completely busy finding your targets, looking at the map. And once you do let's say a look left and right, your 10 seconds are gone already, and your torps are reloaded again. So you're completely busy with the torpedoes. Forget about the guns. The guns are really only useful if the destroyer is left with 10 HP, or a cruiser is really left with 10 HP. But then again, against the cruiser, I would prefer to fire a set of torpedoes, because cruiser are really devastating if they target you, and if you ran out of the anti-targeting consumable, they wipe you from the plate. So stay away from any engagement and just drop the torps. So again, the difficulty is increasing with higher speed, and now we're seeing the Transylvania, the Rasputin, this yellow skull. You don't have to kill this ship early on. It's not a big threat. You can leave it for the end. Don't rush out to kill it. It's no threat. The battleships are threat because they shoot at the Transylvania once they get into a certain range at the end. So it's more important to take care of the cruisers and battleships and leave the Transylvania for the very end. The Rasputin leave the Rasputin for the very end. As you can see here, it doesn't harm the Transylvania. So we focus on the battleships first, and we leave the Rasputin for the very last. It's only meant to tank your torpedoes and your shots, but it's not a threat in regards to protecting the Transylvania. And again, this is the only target you have in Nightmare, so you don't have to have any survivors, you don't have to protect any circle. You only need to make sure nobody is killing the Transylvania, and you're free to decide how you do that. So you need to kill every enemy ship. That's the only goal, but it doesn't say you in which order or what to do first, what to do the last. So the battleships really tend to travel for a ram basically, and even the destroyers, they really go next to the Transylvania before they start topping the Transylvania. So you have all the time in the world to kill the ships which are nearing the Transylvania. And you need to make sure that destroyers take the early damage and the early HP from the enemy ships, and the camping, let's call them camping ships, the three remaining, the two battleships and the cruiser of your team, they should be sitting and hovering around the original defensive zone marker, so the circle which you have in the easy and hard mode, which nobody's supposed to enter. If you stay around this line, you have the perfect position to wipe every ship with low HP left over from the destroyers, or you can focus incoming destroyers. And again, also for the battleship and the cruisers, it is important to focus the destroyers first, then the cruisers, and then the battleships, because the battleships are being dealt with by the destroyers. You don't have to deal and waste your ammunition on these. Your target is the cruisers. If you're a battleship, and if you're a cruiser, your target is the destroyer. That's your main job, and the main job of the destroyer is to kill the battleships and get some floodings. And if you stick to that, even with random players, like you can see here, I made it to tier 6 now, and probably in the next days I will try for 7, 8, and 9 and see how far it goes. And if it's not going to work with randoms, I probably dip up with somebody. But again, I made it to tier 6 with randoms, so definitely it's doable if you know what to do, if you have a good position on the map. Again, destroyers on the flanks, the 3 ships centered, and keep your position, and destroyers should be very much forward. So as you can see here, I'm in the middle of the map, and the other destroyer should be at the middle of the map if you have a second one to the south. And then you really flank and broadside torpedo the rushing ships. And getting the floods will do all the trick, and you can see how much torpedoes I hit in the next 2 games and how much damage you do this way. And yeah. Having said that, I leave you enjoying the remaining 2 games, and I hope you got some tips and ideas how you can beat the Rasputin event. Again, you only have to make it to tier 5 to get the destroyer. But for my personal amusement, I will try to move on and see how far I can get. In terms of rewards, it's probably not worth it, but in terms of fun, it probably is. And yeah, enjoy the game, enjoy the mode, and you have 3 weeks time, so I think everybody should have a chance to manage the nightmare levels. The players will get more experienced if everybody follows what I just said here. I think even with random players, you can really make it, and it's just a matter of time once people understand how the reds are moving, because basically they are always moving the same way. So it's pretty easy to predict what they are doing. So leave your thumbs up if you like the video. Consider subscribing the channel, mainly dedicated to destroyer play. That's why I play this in destroyer as well. But feel free to watch it if you're a battleship or cruiser and you want to learn more about how to avoid destroyers, because knowing those destroyer tactics will also help you to avoid these things. I play a lot of some battleships and some cruisers because I want to understand how I can beat them. So playing these classes will definitely help you. And if you're such a battleship or this cruiser player, feel free to watch my How to Become a Top 1% Destroyer Player tutorial series of 11 episodes, and they will explain you what makes a good destroyer player, and you can understand how you can avoid them. So leave your thumbs up, and yeah, think you out there. Thank you, bye bye.
Ein gegnerisches Schlachtschiff versenkt.
Alle Stationen. Feuer auf das Ziel konzentrieren. Ich brauche Aufklärung.
Fordere Hilfe an.
Das Ziel konzentrieren.
Fordere Hilfe an.
Feuer auf festgelegtes Ziel konzentrieren. Ziel decken. Alle Stationen. Melde Position eines strategischen Ziels. Kommen Sie zurück.
Abgelehnt. Ich brauche Unterstützung.
Das verbündete Ziel. Gegnerischer Zerstörer versenkt.
Fordere Unterstützung an. Abgelehnt.
Achtung, melde Zielposition. Gegnerischer Kreuzer gesunken. Maschinenboost aktiviert. Achtung, melde Zielposition.
Fordere Hilfe an.
Achtung, melde Zielposition.
Negativ.
Gegnerischer Kreuzer zerstört. Alle Stationen, melde Position eines strategischen Ziels.
Ich brauche Hilfe.
Alle Stationen, melde Position eines strategischen Ziels. Gute Arbeit. Alle Stationen, melde Position eines strategischen Ziels. Maschinenboost deaktiviert. Alle Stationen, melde Position eines strategischen Ziels. Wir haben ein gegnerisches Schlachtschiff versenkt.
Ich brauche Unterstützung. Fordere Unterstützung an.
Feuer auf festgelegtes Ziel konzentrieren. Maschinenboost aktiviert. Melde Position eines strategischen Ziels.
Gefecht endet in 5 Minuten.
Position eines strategischen Ziels.
Ich brauche Unterstützung.
Maschinenboost deaktiviert. Alle Stationen, melde Position eines strategischen Ziels. Feuer auf gegnerisches Kriegsschiff konzentrieren.
Fordere Unterstützung an.
Gegnerischer Kreuzer zerstört.
Wir wurden entdeckt. Ich brauche Hilfe. Bestätige.
Feuer auf festgelegtes Ziel konzentrieren. Alle Stationen, melde Position eines strategischen Ziels. Torpedos voraus. Torpedos auf Steuerbord. Alle Stationen, brauche Feuerunterstützung. Maschinenboost deaktiviert. So wird's gemacht. Gute Arbeit. Alle Stationen. Maschinenboost aktiviert. Herzlichen Dank. So wird's gemacht. Gute Arbeit.
Die Schlacht beginnt.
Maschinenboost aktiviert. Gegnerischer Kreuzer versenkt. Maschinenboost deaktiviert.
Ich brauche Unterstützung.
Maschinenboost aktiviert. Stationen. Brauche Feuerunterstützung. Gegnerischer Zerstörer versenkt. Alle Stationen, Meldeposition eines gegnerischen Ziels. Maschinenboost deaktiviert. Gegnerisches Schlachtschiff gesunken. Gute Arbeit. Maschinenboost aktiviert. Alle Stationen. Feuer auf das Ziel konzentrieren. Alle Stationen. Brauche Feuerunterstützung. Maschinenboost deaktiviert. Gegnerischer Zerstörer versenkt.
Wir wurden entdeckt.
Unterstützt das verbündete Ziel. Maschinenboost aktiviert. Alle Stationen. Feuer auf das Ziel konzentrieren. Achtung, melde Zielposition. melde Zielposition. Maschinenboost deaktiviert. Maschinenboost aktiviert. Feuer auf festgelegtes Ziel konzentrieren. Maschinenboost deaktiviert.
Gefecht endet in 5 Minuten.
Achtung, melde Zielposition. Maschinenboost Feuer auf festgelegtes Ziel konzentrieren. Alle Stationen, Feuer auf das Ziel konzentrieren. Alle Stationen, Feuer auf das Ziel konzentrieren. Alle Stationen, brauche Feuerunterstützung.
Setzen Sie eine Nebelwand.
Alle Stationen, melde Position eines strategischen Ziels. Maschinenboost aktiviert. Gegnerisches Schlachtschiff zerstört. Achtung, unterstützt das verbündete Ziel.
Ich brauche Aufklärung.
strategischen Ziels.
Ich brauche Unterstützung.
Wir haben einen gegnerischen Kreuzer versenkt. So wird's gemacht. Maschinenboost deaktiviert.